Oh boy. Let's see how this is going to work, guys. So, uh, Kevin here, Life22, and trying out the hat cam. Well, it's more of a whatever. So, guys, we've got my beautiful home, and we've got two shopping carts in the yard. So, you know how that goes. Grabbing my handy dandy shopping cart removing tool, which is this bad boy here. Oh boy. So, I just wanted to share with everybody. I wanted to go live on TikTok, and yeah, I thought this would be easier than I having the stupid thing on my forehead. Yes. Anyways, got her all hitched. Don't worry, we'll clean off the license plate when none of you guys are looking, because I know y'all stalk my. Um, so our first victim here is going back to Ollie's. So the reason they're in my front yard is, well, we were out visiting relatives in Connecticut. My wife was home uh, during the most recent holiday, and she you mentioned that these shopping. She mentioned to me tonight that the shopping carts were left across the street from our house, and I said, "Well, that really stinks. People shouldn't. These grubby homeless people shouldn't be leaving them." And she's like, "Yeah, they showed up on Thanksgiving Day." She said there was a bunch of people. She didn't see a bunch of people dragging these particular carts, or at least maybe one of them. But she said she saw one cart show up at first, and somebody was pushing it full of like nonsense groceries or something. Um, and then they actually to put that down. I'm not going to have access to it. So she said they were moving their groceries in. I don't know. I hate that stupid thing. Um, so Ollie's does not. Ollie's sells some food, but I doubt you're going to find any Thanksgiving type food there. So if this doesn't seem like one of my normal podcasts, it's because it's not. TikTok has asked me to do live streams. They didn't ask me, but there. TikTok, TikTok had one of these little things that said you need to start doing different things like live streaming stuff like that. So, um, but yeah, so we're that's why this podcast seems a little different than the usual Kevin political rants. It's still kind of politically, you know. You get to hear Kevin gripe about all the homeless people as he straps up down a thing, and it's not even that they're homeless; it's that they squat and they do the drugs. You know, it's just frustrating. You know, like listen, man, I get it. People have rough lives. I have a rough life. I have a nice life because I work really hard to make my life nice, and it's my outlook. Other people don't share my outlook on life, and oh, woe is me and depression, and maybe they had a bad childhood growing up, and not all of us had perfect childhoods. I didn't have a perfect childhood. I know that. It's not going anywhere. Just make all you people on TikTok. There we go. There's my license plate. Not that you can see it through the shopping cart, but ugh. So you're going on a 25-minute adventure with me as we back up canvas block. Oop. I don't know how much of this trip you guys are getting to enjoy here on Kevin's lovely live TikTok podcast, but as you're on the top of my head, I can't quite see. Ooh, look at this. Somebody else probably got hit by a shopping cart. Oh, look at that. The only land news. Oop, they got it all blocked down. Oh, there must have been an accident during that lovely intersection there. It's just so poorly designed, the intersection, you know? I thought somebody took a left out of here and got smoked, which usually happens. People head southbound on 6th. Uh, we talked about it when I was on the council about, doing some kind of signage, but it's not worth it because you're not supposed to park within 25 feet of an intersection starting from the inside corner of the sidewalk. So, there is that. So, but so then it comes down to enforcement. So when you see people, and that's what neighbors are supposed to do. Hey, some guy's blocking the sidewalk or blocking the vision again, which it's already kind of hard to see at an intersection, anyways. So we're heading to Ollie's with this beautiful shopping cart here. Almost thought I lost it. I don't know how I would have. It was pretty tightly strapped down. But uh, so, anyways, back to our story here. My wife notices people bringing their Thanksgiving dinner to their, let's just say, their friend's house, right? So they're having Thanksgiving dinner at a house that they're squatting in. It's funny because I've got to hear the story of this landlord, and he seems like a nice enough guy. It's just he's like too nice. He's like, oh, he's like, if you don't have a place to live, live in this house, and then call social services and get qualified. And then they do, but they don't because they don't have a lease, and he's not willing to sign a lease. But he's let them live there, and then they get to move in, and then they live there, and then they let their friends live there because once you're a tenant, you can let whoever you want live there, and then everybody throws their hands up like, oh, I can't help you, you know. And it poses a huge issue. And then these people are doing drugs in the house, and like they're even doing drugs openly on the street. But because of discovery laws, you can't openly say that like we know what kind of drugs those are. And so uh, I don't know. It's one of those things. Like, what kind of drugs are those? Well, they're not going to tell you. They're the legal ones, officer. And then they proceed about their business. If it's blatantly, if they can smell it or whatever, and it's a blatant like what do they call that? Reasonable suspicion that it's an actual drug that's harmful, then like then they can confiscate it, send it away to be tested because now they have to verify that it's actually the drug instead of like the fact that it's like clearly obvious, like but they have to send it away so it can be like tested within a reasonable doubt, like that it couldn't be anything else. It couldn't have been just some similar product or drug that like is naturally forming on Mars that happened to, in a 1 in a million chance, land on Earth, and it could be that chemical substance instead. No, no. Then that's how we write the laws too to protect these people. We have to say, hey, this very well could be that. It's more likely to be that than somebody actually would commit a crime, which I know that that's how we're taught, right? We're supposed to assume that everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But the problem is that, if men, is it Thomas Jefferson, I believe it was, if men were angels, we wouldn't need government. So, yeah. So, yeah, nobody's perfect. There's thousands of stories from eons of how imperfect man is. You could follow almost any religion. They'll tell you that there's no, yep. So, This is just one of the things we get to deal with on the regular. Um, we drop the kids off at jujitsu at between 6 and 6:15. It starts at 6:15, and they we take them there, and usually between six 6:45 and 7:15. We'll pick them up. Just depends. Oh, having a brain fart day. It'll be all the 5G soaking into my brain from having this thing on my forehead. So if people are commenting, I may not be getting back to you right away as this thing is on my forehead and I am driving both hands on the wheel. So wait a minute. Oh yeah, Ollie's is in this parking lot. I don't come here. So, like, I don't even know why. Like, what are drug? You know what? They probably stole it from Ollie's when they were robbing the Marshalls. I'm pretty sure, like, the number one store that's robbed in our town, if I can remember correctly, just by talking to different people that have worked at all these establishments. I always, you don't hear complaints from Wendy's. People don't steal burgers from Wendy's, but people steal shit from Marshall. Like, it's their job. And here we go. One part down, and the other one is actually going to be a more local establishment, less. Yeah, I know. It's blocking less of a. What happened? Live restriction for some audiences. Live themes, maybe. Oh, okay. Violation warning. Why am I dangerous? What is dangerous? Do better. Super fans. Restrictions. Swipe to close. Huh. So you guys are. Oh, you guys are learning with me. Some may find this uncomfortable and has been restricted. Reasons, dangerous activities, and challenges. Current live restriction for some audiences. Well, that's dumb. Is it the fact that I have my hands free while driving? No. Don't you worry. Yeah, people are dumb. Because I'm returning shopping carts? I'm in possession of stolen property, I suppose. Um, I've got a headlamp on. Well, call it a headlamp. My vision is not impaired, by the way. So for oh, oh, all right. Anyways, yeah, that's because people are dumb. So somebody said, "Hey, this guy's driving and he's live filming." Well, then I guess if my phone was also my dash cam, I would be in trouble too, I suppose. Um, because as we discussed, people are dumb. The same, probably some grubby person living at that house. You go, Ollie's. Oh, So we started discussing the reason that they're in my yard. Did somebody not see me put my seatbelt on? Maybe that's what it was. Because I can verify my seatbelt was on. Anyways, so the we are we have all these people that keep dropping, they're dropping off shopping carts in our neighborhood, in the church parking lot, in the church across the street from my house, in their yard and whatnot. Oh, look, it's probably the guy who just took his thing. I don't even know what that thing said. There's a guy that is in our town that has a sign that says, "We'll we'll suck toes for nugs," um, which is kind of gross. Um, or maybe that's the naivete of me, I guess. Um, I know there's people that have foot fetishes. I'm assuming that's what it is, unless it's like, moose knuckle or camel toe. I don't know. I never tried to go down that rabbit hole when you hear about, those old Chappelle skits where people are like, yeah, suck toes. Like, I don't know what I don't know what they're referring to. I'm assuming it is just a foot fetish thing, but I could be incorrect. I'm sure somebody in the comments will correct me. At which point I've learned something today, which, hey, if you only get one thing out of your day, at least you learn something. But so these people keep dropping the shopping carts off. They're moving their own possessions around. They're just like half the time they're not even shopping at these stores. They don't have any money. If they do have money, it's part of the SNAP EBT program where they're getting food given to them out of our tax dollars, and then they go and buy the food, and then they steal the shopping cart to relocate it to a house that they don't live at, so they can drop it off to, well, this guy down the road from our house. His name is Curtis, and he sells drugs. He's admitted to selling drugs. He's told the neighbors, get the hell out of my, get away from my house or I'll shoot you. And the neighbors, they're like, they call the police. The police don't do anything. These guys have threatened to kill people, you know what I mean? And it's like, and they're currently doing it, which should also be a capital punishment. You know, they should see the death penalty for what they do. They sell drugs. The drugs go to people that, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, they're still people, and they do the drugs, and they OD from the drugs, and then they die, and then who whose fault is that? It's partly their fault. I wouldn't call it victimless, but the person who's still alive that is still continuing to do this, bad behavior, which is give drugs to other people, and profiting off of it and or sustaining their own habit. You know what I mean? Those people that are, offering the drugs, I think that they should be penalized, and I think they should be penalized with the death penalty because they're leading to the death and or suicide of these other people. They're leading to the degeneracy of our society, which is where we all raise our kids. Uh, you know, so, but yeah, no, that's it's just you know, it's just nonsense. Um, so shopping carts, they're across the street from my house. Apparently, they've been at the church since Thanksgiving. Um, and then I asked my wife when I got home today because I saw the shopping carts in my front yard, and I said, "Jesus, were you picking fights with the homeless again, or the vandals in the neighborhood?" And she goes, "No, what are you talking about?" She's like, "They were across the street at the church." She walks outside, she sees them in the front yard, and then we check the security cameras, and it's my son and his friend pushed him into our front yard. And they didn't think that it was right that they sit in a church parking lot. And they've seen from our previous, encounters with these people that we've put them in our front yard with notes on them, not to take them, not to steal them, to wait for the police to show up. And so my son and his friend walking home from school assumed that's where shopping carts should go if they need to be returned to their rightful owners. So, um, you know, that. So, um, you know, that that's kind of, and that's how I got off. 'Cause my wife was like, "Well, you should make those kids return them tomorrow." And I had my kid walk all the way down to a more like shopping district. It's one thing if you were to return the last shopping cart, which is the Reed's Food Barn. Man, something must have happened. They got two cop cars blocking off that section. Um, well, if I wasn't on a live TikTok right now on my phone, I would probably call my buddy Paul because he lives right there at that corner. He probably, him and his wife probably got the whole thing on Ring doorbell footage. Oh, so, oh no, look at that. Kevin's parking in a spot he just described was illegal. Except for the fact that I'm only going to be here for the short run, right, gang? Because I'm just moving shopping carts. So I'll move my car back to where it was, which is in front of my daughter's car. So yeah, this is the Reed's Food Barn shopping cart, the little one. It's like the partial walker one, not the guy who ran for governor in Georgia or whatever. Herschel walked. This is the partial walker. So like partially a walker, partially a grocery cart. It's for those little old ladies that need that extra hand and they can't push a cart and have their walker with them. So, which, whatever, everybody needs to be able to get their groceries. I think it's great. Sucks when they steal these. So, if you know somebody who steals shopping carts, you should tell them that it's not appropriate behavior for adults. You also should tell them to watch my other video if you don't like it when people steal shopping carts. I have one on the YouTubes describes how we can change legislation. Well, it doesn't describe how. I mean, essentially, in your community, you start harassing your politicians and say, "Hey, politician, I would like to not have grubs moving shopping carts away from their designated locations. I leave mine in the parking lot. I return my cart to the store or to the cart galley. I do not take them outside. I do not leave them by my car." You can almost start an Uncle Seuss, Dr. Seuss novel based on my shopping cart rules and do's and do nots. Oh no, my rear camera is blocked again. You shall, yeah, I shall not run a, I shall not run a shopping cart ring. I shall return my carts from which I bring. You could go on a whole, have like a 10 commandments of shopping carts. And to that said, how many people out in the audience are sweet babies from the Sweet Baby Gang? Because it is like our fifth commandment in the Sweet Baby Gang. If you know what that is, you are privileged. If you do not, look at that rubbernecking. Looks like somebody got in a car accident. Too tight of a turn there. They do the curb diets. That's the issue. But that's not the issue. The intersection is just kind of stupid in the first place. In the words of our president, it's kind of retarded. They narrow it right there for a curb diet with the ADA compliant handicap ramps and stuff instead of, kind of taking that ramping of the sidewalk a little bit so they can keep the road the same width. So people, if you're not paying attention, the road gets really thin right there and makes people nervous. So, and then they have a tendency to bump into one another, which actually that intersection does not get a ton of like people always think there's accidents. Yep. Thank you. You don't have to let people in these interstate roundabouts. That's my favorite part. You can always tell when someone's from Pennsylvania coming to New York because they hit our traffic circle and then they stop and let everybody in to the cog. Pet peeve. You can tell when you got an angry like New Yorker behind him because that like inner New York City road rage comes out, and you could hear someone just laying on the horn, and these poor little like they're like Midwesterners. They just like these poor little like Pennsylvania Dutch, just like oh my, and they get all nervous. And, why are they honking at me? I'm just trying to be nice. People in. It's kind of what happens. So, to those of you just joining us, I'm returning shopping carts to the local grocers, and not their freezer, just well, their parking lots are freezing. Definitely could keep some Gordons out in the definitely keep some Gordon's fish products out in those parking lots. Um, but yeah, we're taking a nice little cruisy cruise to go drop off some shopping carts. And for those of you who may or may not be commenting, I will get to you at my next, because I have a tendency to not take this thing off my head while I'm driving. Because I would never keep my hands be anything other than hands free while I'm driving. Kids get mad at me because they make all sorts of airplane noises and shit while I'm driving. Meow. Oh, skirt, skirt. I'll do all sorts of cool stuff, which they would have thought was cool when they were 5, and now they're all 10, and they're like, "Dad, you are a joke." Which, hey, I'm funny. So, oh, no, before I take off again, I will don my. Cool. See if anybody's made a comment that I should reply to, and as soon as I return this last shopping cart. Does anybody else have these? Anybody else is OCD about it? Ratchet straps as I am. Every person I know that has ratchet straps, they just leave them all balled up. I dismantle mine and I fold them. I'm trying to give you guys more content. Lovely picadillos of Kevin that he does, right? So I straighten them all out. You're probably loving this. You guys are just at home, just going, man, I can watch this guy straighten ratchet straps for hours. Which gets me into the next topic, which maybe if we get enough momentum, maybe Kevin should start an OnlyFans where he just like organizes random shit or just ratchet straps. So, as this is our last stop, we're going to use our lovely. That's the one thing I dislike about the Nissan. I do enjoy my Nissan. Um, the exterior, there's something wrong with the button in the back. It just doesn't want to like this button sometimes doesn't work. The button on the handle sometimes doesn't want to respond. The button up front doesn't, but the key fob always does. And then randomly it will just like pop open, like you guys saw on the last one. And sometimes it doesn't want to. The secondary latch doesn't want to. So probably shouldn't have freaked all those people out, huh? Wearing headband. The live show. League D. I don't know what that stuff is. There's stuff at the top of my screen. Invite people to co-host. People have joined. Or make a grill out of it. I like that. Keep it up. We just got #1 gifter badge. Cool. I'm learning about this, guys, like I said. I'm learning about this, guys, like I said. I'll probably review if I missed your comment. I'm sorry. Make a grill out of it. I do Actually, it's funny because I do have, when I was in college, I can't say that I was always a uh, subscriber to the church of return your shopping carts. So, in my defense, I guess, in college, I had stolen some shopping carts. Now, that said, I'm guilty of said shopping cart crime um, from 10, 20 years ago. Well, not 20, but 15, 15 years ago, getting close to 20. Uh, but you know what? I was in high school. I don't even think I was in college. And anyways, these shopping carts were dredged out of the river. Like they were so like in such rough shape. Like one of them was like missing all the wheels and half of it. Like we dismantled it. You know, we dismantled it and we used the bottom of the one shopping cart as the grill top for the somewhat decenter shopping cart. But they were all dredged from the river. So yes, were they my shopping carts? Like no, you know. And I think like if that's the extent of my crime, you know what I mean? I hope that there is repentance for it, which like I think that what I'm doing now should be repentance for the crime of the my shopping cart indiscretions of my youth. And yeah, I jammed two tire rims. So I had two. I had an old '97 Toyota Camry, and I had a tire rim that I placed inside of it. And the f- I so I had yeah I had got slid off the road and I put a dent in my tire rim and they were like it ain't worth fixing it, you can't just rebalance it, knock it straight or whatnot, so just they replaced my tire and rim. And so they left the old one in my trunk and I'm like what am I gonna do with this thing? Oh, maybe I'll scrap it. And one of my and then we found these, we saw this guy just pushing a shopping cart into the river and we pulled that one out, we returned it, and we saw there's tons of other shopping carts down there, so we dredged a whole bunch of them. So I think that in and of itself was our repentance. But we dredged a shopping cart out of the river, and then we decided to use the tire rim in that, and then we tried to figure out the other one. So we went back up and we dredged more shopping carts out of the river, and you know. It was just one of those. It was one of those things. I put a tire rim in it, jammed it towards the front, filled it with charcoal, and I had those. The grill and go is what we used to call it. And I'm sure if you follow me on Facebook, you probably could find some pictures of the grill and go in action. And then we got another dented tire rim when my buddy Luke messed up his Volkswagen, and that was that's what we uh, that's what we did. We had the thought we never really used the rear grill. I think we did from time to time, but my thought was eventually. I didn't know much about grills, but I assumed that I could have a dual fuel grill. And my thought was the front one that we had been using for charcoal would be the charcoal one, and the one in the rear, um, we could uh, we could use as the we could use as a propane one. And I had taken the egg basket portion of one of the rotted ones and I kind of like interwove it into the back section of the shopping cart. So it's got the little fold down dealy that you would have for like your eggs as like a front shelf, which is kind of a unique thing to have in a shopping cart. So for me to take the front end of one shopping cart and kind of weave it into the back end of a shopping cart was very cool. So yeah, it was just one of those. It was one of those things that I did, and it was cool because you could put all of your things there. We had hooks on it, and bungees and stuff. My thought was just got into motorcycles at the time, and I thought, man, I could use one of these bungee nets that I use for my motorcycle to hold my helmet on, my spare helmet, for all the girls I had ride with me, which was not very anything I really had when I was in high school. I tried my best, but I switch. I guess I can't. Better grill ideas. So AI is okay. So, anyways, yeah. So we had uh we had these shopping cart grills, and yeah, it was really cool because my thought was underneath this egg basket that I wove onto the back. My seatbelt is on, by the way, for all of you who are reporting the video that I'm doing dangerous activity. My vehicle is parked on the side of the road. My seatbelt is still on. The engine is running. It is in park. The seatbelt light, for some reason, just flashes at me. It doesn't fail an inspection because of it. It just is what it is. But so regardless, we I wonder, can I switch the direction of this? Flip camera. Sweet. There we go. All of you who don't know me can see my lovely face. Anyways, yeah, so we had the shopping cart fiascos and yeah, so you my thought process was that we could bungee the propane tank underneath that sector. And it never came to fruition. Um yeah. Um with that said, I know nothing about this stuff. There are current restrictions to some audiences. Hmm. To tell you how long you've been doing this for? 38 viewers are trying after your live was recommended to their live content feed. 42 total views. I'm new, so and I'm sure most of you are like, yeah, well, don't get used to it because you suck. But because I probably do. I might suck, but not what some of you are hoping for. Like what you'd expect me to put on an OnlyFans, not Kevin organizing ratchet straps. What is that? Viewers. Okay. Viewers left. Well, yeah. Okay, that takes me to the same screen. Tips, try now. You can co-host with other creators. You've reached stage two. Uh, Go live, three separate Daves. Daves, you all. They've got a journey for me. Uh, received 25 comments. I've received one. Go live for a total of 15 minutes. I've achieved that. Cool. Like I like little achievements. They get my dopamine, and I think it's oxytocin. Anyways, yeah, I learned about all that stuff today. I think they would tell. Oh, 38 minutes. All right. Well, we've done it for 25, which was my kind of my goal. We can do this again in the future. But yeah, that was the purpose of this one was just for me to like kind of rant, take you with me on a live journey as I return shopping carts from all the grubs in my neighborhood. And then just kind of, just bitch about stuff. So, um, but yeah, with that said, guys, thanks for all of you who've restricted my video. Thanks for all of you who have done who watched and participated and whatnot. I guess oh, uh, there's something about Live Fest. So go live on Live Fest. Gotcha. Okay. So I guess I just did something else. Like I said, I don't. All right. Well, there we go. I just did something else. Another dopamine hit, guys. Just wham. Double tapped. Back of the head. Front of the head. So, with that said, gang, we will catch you guys next time. Life22. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. We're also here on TikTok. We're on X, Life22 Studios. We're on Facebook, Instagram. A Transistor distributes us. You can catch us on Spotify, podcast, Ashkami. There's a whole bunch of random ones. With Pandora, Heart Radio, all those lovely places that you get to listen to all your faves. Hopefully, I'm one of them. And with that said, guys, we'll catch you guys next time with the Life 22. Now, if I can figure out how to get out of here, I'm stuck here. I feel like it's Inception. It is Inception. Ah, there we go. And now.